Welcome to the Truer Business Podcast with Cara Ferreira
and Lauren Van Mullen. This season, we're looking at how online entrepreneurs built businesses around what they wanted for their lives.
We're talking to people who broke out of the follow my formula mindset to find what worked for them so that you can find the way that works for you.
What do you really want? Today, we're talking with Lisa Avila. Lisa is a business strategist, mom of 3, and she helps mission-driven women scale their nonprofits through strategy, marketing, and mindset. But why I really wanted to talk to you is because you're an outlier in this lineup of women I'm talking to, in that you have more children, older children, and you've built more businesses. Like, serial entrepreneur, I don't think is an understatement for you. And you've built them at different stages of your children's lives. And I think that's so interesting because the big question I have for you, which I will break down to make it answerable, is how?
And how am I still here? Yes. Yeah. Where to start with that, right?
Yes. So I want to start at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey. And I want to sort of look at these 2 train tracks of entrepreneurial journey and where your kids were.
When they came on the scene, how that changed things.
Yeah. Right. Okay. The first business is interesting because I was checking all the boxes as a lot of people do, right? Graduate college, meet the guy, get married. Spent 6 months in Italy because he's a winemaker and he did an internship there. So my life was going to be so perfect, y'all, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, of course. Come back, start a business together. His dad was a winemaker. And so we start this family business in Paso Robles. And I start having children very quickly, 3 boys in 4.5 years while running this business.
Wow.
It was, but I had checked all the boxes and my life was beautiful. And I was married to a winemaker and we were going to events and doing all these things. And then I started to fall apart because it was too much. It is a lot to be a mom, be visible, the face of the brand, if you will, while standing behind my husband. And I don't know that I did it very well, to be honest.
Honestly, I think those are the better stories because you have these plans. You think everything is going to be trucking along just great. And then they start to break under the pressure. And that's what I'm really curious about, is where the pressures were, what started as this is the best idea ever and turned out to not be.
Yeah. I had to travel because we were a small family winery and you have to get your brand out there and they want to see the face behind the brand. And it was when I was pumping in the LAX bathroom, I was pumping and dumping, and I was bawling because there was only one outlet right by the sinks, those dirty sinks. And there I was like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? But also, I had to do it. You've got to support your kids, feed them. You have this life that you've built. But that was really the moment where I thought, what am I doing?
I just have to set this for anybody who is blessed enough not to have been through LAX. It's not a nice airport.
Oh.
The bathrooms are horrendous. Like, it is. I avoid it at all costs. And I mean at all costs because it's more expensive to fly in other airports. And I will deliberately do that. So I feel you on multiple levels on this.
So you feel my pain.
So you have the moment, pumping and dumping in the airport. So then what did that look like? Did you go back home and make a change? Did it take a little while? What?
It took a long while because I had that picture and I wasn't going to give that up because I had worked too hard for it. And yeah, I loved my babies. But here's the thing I was talking to a client about this morning. I loved my babies, but I also loved my work. I loved my business. I loved marketing. I loved holding events. I loved pouring wine for people most of the time. And it was just so fun to be someone besides someone's mom, that I got to get out there and get dressed and do my hair and talk to adults. So I love that piece of it. But then also back home, there was that, but now you need to cook and clean and do all the things. So it took me a while to decide I couldn't do this anymore. And it was actually a downturn of the economy that forced my hand because our winery closed. They called our loan and we had to close the winery. And so that was it, because then it was like I was full-time mom and I was home with my unemployed husband. I don't recommend that to anyone. So anyhow, my marriage ended. And so then I was a single mom with 3 kids, and that was rough. But I also came back to myself in that time. And I was a really present mother, which I hadn't been for years. So that was a nice time also. That sounds weird, but it was.
Yeah. I can relate to that a little bit. I mean, I only have one child, but like, I think I went back into like full work a little bit too early. Like when she was 6 months old, I was like, I am working full time. And like balancing that was a little bit rough, and I wasn't as present as I maybe could have been. But then the pandemic hit, which ended up being a little bit of a blessing in disguise because it forced me to slow down, pump the brakes on the work, and spend a bit, I spent the entire day with her at that point, which was a nice reprieve.
Yeah. And that's usually what it takes, for me anyway, of something out of my control saying no. Well, it's the universe, I'm sure, but it's like, we're not doing this anymore. This isn't working.
That's so interesting. I can see myself in that because I am, like I think a lot of entrepreneurs are go, 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 high energy. My business is my passion. I love it so much. And I can't imagine stepping away from it, which, I'm on, I don't know. I should be marking this like, little sticks on a prison cell. Like I'm on day 9 of maternity leave.
I feel that though, because you have built something so beautiful and it's one of your children. I mean, that's the way I see it. I see my businesses as, it's in there. It has a heart and soul of its own.
Exactly. My business is old enough to vote.
There you go. You have an adult.
I do. I have a young adult business, and it should be able to sort of operate somewhat on its own, and it can, but still requires some supervision.
And your heart is still out there, right? I think of my kids because I have 2 in college now, and my heart is outside of myself with them as they are moving through the world. And that's a lot. And it's the same with the business. Sure, it's your brand and you can separate it, right? But also, it has a piece of your heart.
Exactly. So the first business you built, you were figuring out the marketing for it. You were figuring out all of the outreach involved, all of the travel involved. I forgot about that aspect, especially of the wine industry. So how did you balance time? Like, how did you figure out the childcare for that early stage?
I worked really hard with networking, asking friends of friends. How can I do this with 3? How do you afford childcare with 3 children? And I found a lovely lady, and she was doing daycare in her home, and she potty trained them. They still napped for her, healthy snacks. I mean, it was that to me, it was so lovely that I was able to drop them off in the morning, know that they were loved and taken care of, and I could go do my work and then come home. And that was great. So, but I had to ask a lot of questions. I put my oldest, in a preschool that didn't work out, where picked him up one day and he told me they locked him in a closet. Now, he was 3, 4 years old, whatever it was. And, what do you do with that? So it's those moments where you feel like I am failing as a mother. Was he really locked in a closet? I don't know. I haven't gone back to the Catholic Church since, but then I asked around and I just worked really hard. That's what I do in my business also, the networking, talking to people, asking questions, staying open.
Oh, that's fantastic. So I'm looking at the themes of childcare and work-life balance because one of the myths that I think we've actually been successfully busting in our interviews so far is that as soon as you have kids, like your life just takes like not even a backseat, just forget about it. Like, forget about who you were before. Forget about any hobbies that you enjoyed. You don't have time or energy for any of that. Like, your life is destroyed. And so far, everybody that we've been talking to is like, no. Maybe things have shifted, but the priorities still surface. They still have a place. So I'm wondering what your experience has been with that. because you're one of like, you're so high energy and passion just exudes from you. And I can't imagine you setting that down for 5 minutes.
Ooh, I do though. I go and sit in my backyard because I live on a vineyard. Not mine anymore, but that's okay. It's a different life now, but I do. I go sit and I'm quiet. I need that quiet time. I don't want anyone talking to me. I don't want to be on. But I'm very intentional about that. And when you said breaking the myth, I don't believe in work-life balance. I never have. The thing I think that helped me when I was in the wine industry is that I had to go out. I had to go and meet people and entertain, and I loved it. And it was just a part of me that I need for my self-care to go and be social. And so I've continued that. And that has really helped as I've moved through the different seasons of motherhood because you meet moms when they become school age, and then you meet different moms when they play sports. And then, so it changes with everything. And you don't always, they don't always become your best friends, and that's okay. But you can find people that you want to be with. And that has helped me a lot. People who relate to what we're going through because not everybody gets it.
Yes. And I found that as an entrepreneur mother of a certain age, it's even more niche. And I think every woman's approach to motherhood is so unique, so different, and also so jealously guarded. Because, if my approach to motherhood is different than your approach, then clearly I am right and you are wrong and I will attack you. Like that is kind of the vibe that I get from a lot of, at least that's what
Yes.
happens on Reddit, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I would not get on any online anything with that because I don't want you can only do organic. You have to breastfeed for 5 years. I don't want any of that. That we are all on a different journey with motherhood. And that's why the in-person is so important to me. It takes away that layer of the judgment because you see them. They just want to support you and love you. And if they don't, you can get up and leave, you know?
So, the next incarnation of your business, what was that and where were your kids at in their stage?
Great question. So, because of the wine industry, I was really passionate about advocacy because I saw the vineyard workers who were not being supported. And so, when the first business did not work out, I went back and got divorced. I went back to grad school, got my master's in education, and I started working as an ELD educator, so English language development. And I started advocating for these marginalized families and parents in my school district. Kind of got fired over it. Not really fired, but not asked to come back the next year because I was so vocal and high energy about it. And so that's when I moved to nonprofit and I worked at a nonprofit advocating. Absolutely loved it. But then COVID hit. They wanted me in the office. I had 3 kids, school age. 2 were in middle school. Yeah. What freshmen? I don't know. Whatever. Yes. And they were on their computers all day, right? Trying to do school. But I had to be in the office. Well, they wouldn't be on their computers if I wasn't there monitoring and watching.
Not a
Please. They'd
chance.
be out kicking a soccer ball or on Xbox. So I had to quit that job. And it still kind of hurts because I loved the work I was doing. But that's why I started my next business of being a consultant and doing the marketing. And I was doing it for mompreneurs, as you know. And then I recently moved it back into the nonprofit sector because I just love the advocacy piece of it.
I want to spend a little bit of time in that middle space of when you were coaching mompreneurs to take their big ideas from the dining room table and bring them to life. I think that's such an interesting stage in your evolution. And then I want to get into the nonprofit because it's similar in a lot of ways, but different in a lot of ways. But for those moms that you were helping and working with and using your own experience, what are the challenges of taking that idea from the dining table and actually turning it into a real business that has a chance with all of the childcare responsibilities that are inevitable?
The number one, and I know this is an overused term, but it is true, the imposter syndrome. The who am I to be doing this? Shouldn't it be enough that I'm a mom? Shouldn't it be enough that I'm raising humans? And for me, it was never enough. I wanted more. I wanted that piece of Lisa that wasn't a mom. And I saw that with a lot of women. They had these wonderful ideas, so creative, just blows my mind. And yet they weren't doing anything with it because they didn't believe that they should or could. And they didn't know how to start. I mean, that's why they would come to me. But there was always that hesitancy of, I don't know, I should put my family first.
So is that what you did some of the coaching around? Was really getting them into like, yes, your family can still be a big priority, but you've got to also put this other thing into the world.
Yeah, and I've carried that through to this nonprofit now, but it's because I see, yes, you need the marketing, the strategy, and the mindset, whatever you want to call it, to remember who you are before you were the mom. Because that passion is still there. You've just redirected it into your children. And from some moms, and maybe this sounds a little judgy, but they've put all of themselves into these little humans. And then as these humans get bigger and don't need them as much, they don't know what to do with themselves. And then their kids leave for college and they're just floundering. Had some friends like that of who am I and what do I do now? So we go back to that of like, who were you? Remember who you are. You have this passion. Now I'll help you with the strategy to get it out into the world.
That is such a good point because I work with coaches, and so many of the coaches that I work with women specifically when they are at that empty nest stage and the problem that they're all solving. And I'm like, I've worked with well over 300 coaches at this point, and just an absurd proportion work on the problem of you lost yourself in motherhood. And that used to terrify me until I figured out the common thread was these women became mothers very young. Like they were still forming their identities. And I think it's a lot easier to lose yourself when you haven't found yourself yet. But that's not a component that I hear in your story because you were always sort of pushing for this is what brings me joy. This is what brings me energy. And I need both of these things in my life.
Yes, but also that's a really great point because I had my first child when I was 32, I think. So I did have that time after college and living in Italy and traveling and finding myself and my passion. So I did have that time. I did have friends that got married right out of high school, and I never saw myself as a mom. I knew I wanted to travel. That's what I saw myself doing.
Same.
Yeah,
Weirdly, I'm still there.
for sure.
Giving birth any day now, and I still identify more as the traveler entrepreneur.
Well, you probably will. It's like I said, like I am mom now. Like it is part of my being, but like we were talking about in a different interview, I think it was just with me on it, that it's not my archetype though. It's not like this is like my highest definition of who I am isn't mom. Like that's a different archetype.
Yep. Well, I see people who are traveling with kids now all the time, although I don't appreciate that much on airplanes. I think it's terrible for those little buddies when they're screaming because their ears won't pop. But my youngest is 16, so I know in a couple years I will be an empty nester, and I am excited about it because I can travel more.
That's why I only had one because I can travel with her much more easily than if I had a fleet of children.
There you go. When I ran out of hands, yeah, that became a little difficult, especially in parking lots. Yeah.
That's actually one thing I'm really like. My husband and I are very excited to share our love of travel with this little guy. So, one of the last times we talked, you were in the midst of driving at least one of your kids to a soccer game.
Yes.
So, I want to talk about like the school commitments and how you balance your work with the things that must be done because 3 kids, they've got sports, they've got all the school things. How do you fit the work, the rest, and all of those commitments? Because you're handling so many schedules.
I love my Google Calendar. I love to show people my Google Calendar, but they get so overwhelmed by me. Who are you? Because I have a different color for every kid. I also care for my mother who's 80, so she has a color. Poppy Grove, my business, is a beautiful violet color. And that's how I maneuver through the world. If it's not on my calendar, it's not happening because I won't remember. It's too much to keep in your head. that's how it works for me. And I mean, I am type A, obviously, but yeah. And I schedule in that time for driving. I have my youngest plays club soccer, so we're in San Diego, which is 6 hours from us, a lot. And that's how I do it. But as an entrepreneur, you can do that because I can film B-roll. I can make him film me or, all the things when I'm in the car. I can take a client call, things like that. And each season is different and you just make it work. Sometimes I did take my laptop to football practice. Sometimes I sat in the car and had a client call while other moms were, drinking their coffee and doing their thing. But that's okay because it's where I wanted to be.
That's fantastic. And I am the same way with my Google Calendar. If it's not on there, it's not happening.
I have seen yours. And,
Right?
and I think I gave a little whoop whoop.
It is color coded. I think I actually need to go through and maybe streamline that because it's getting a little wild. So in the nonprofit space, I'm really curious because I'm very much in the business space. I have dabbled with nonprofits, but I kind of got caught up in the works of a very dysfunctional one very early. And it kind of scared me off the genre. But that was an outlier. That was like personality disorder issues, right? It happens.
It happens in every niche.
In every niche. But I'm curious, your clients now, they're also balancing their families and they're also balancing this incredibly meaningful work in their communities. I'm very curious about what those challenges are.
Yes, that's why I don't promote the mindset necessarily. I don't believe we put it on the sales page, but it is a huge part of the work that we do. Because when I was working at a nonprofit, I saw so much poverty. Just, it was terrible. And then I'd come home and my kids needed new Nikes, that kind of thing. So you have this of you're fine, you'll be fine. And I see that with my clients also of their kids. It's finding that, and again, I don't believe in balance, but finding that you're holding that love and space for your children, but you see what's going on in the world. And so there's this tug of who do I give my attention to? Who do I give my love to? And then what about you as the executive director, nonprofit founder? When do you give yourself that love and self-care? And that's the same for moms. When do you give yourself that when you're taking care of everyone else? Who helps the helpers?
Yeah, right? I want answers to this because I don't know.
Me. And I'm going to do I have my own podcast and I'm going to do a series in Q1 where it's who's helping the helpers because they need to be reminded. We all need to be reminded. You can seek help and ask for it in many different ways, right? It could be, I'm a botanical lady, a parent, coach. There's just different ways where you can get the support that you need and say, yes, this is what I need and I'm going to do it.
That's been another undercurrent is what kinds of support women are organizing for themselves in their businesses and in their families. Like, how do we do this? How do we get the help that we need in the different kinds of help that we need to be able to do the things that we want to do? Because I think as a baseline, I just can't fathom trying to do my business and childcare and animal care and, the social commitments, familial commitments. If that was just me, I would crumble. I think anybody would. So I've set up really good supports for my business. Like that is the most organized part of my life. And now I'm figuring out how to do it on the other side. So I'm curious what kinds of support you've found on the family side and on the business side that keep you going.
Business, I have always had a coach. I need to move through the world with people who are as energetic and driven as I am. And so I've always had a coach. And you mentioned it in the beginning of, some of these coaches aren't moms. And so that's been a struggle for me of I've had to say, okay, bye, because just work harder or just whatever, get up at 5 a.m. You don't know what it's like when you haven't slept all night. You don't know what it's like when your breasts hurt from trying to breastfeed, things like this. So don't tell me just to try harder. That just drives me Blah, I can't. So I find coaches who are moms and they understand the journey and the seasons. That has really helped me in my business and the networking of just meeting people like you ladies that are authentic. You get it, and there's no judgment. So that's been super helpful in business. Personally, it's been a struggle, but in every different season, it's little things like carpooling. I can't always be the one, so sometimes I have to ask somebody to take my kids somewhere. But that I thought I could do it all. So that took a minute for me to realize that I needed to ask someone to go out of their way, maybe a mile, to come pick up my kid and take him to practice.
Oh, I get so uncomfortable asking people to do. Yeah.
I am in a text thread, the woman who like basically helps run our park and rec. And so it's like the soccer season starting. And I think she put us in a text thread. There's like 30 people on this text thread. Like, we're a very small town. So I know a lot of them, but some of them I don't know like whose number it is. But one of the other moms who I do know, so I know it's her, texted. She was like, oh yeah, I just signed my kids up. Like, she has a very big job for Salesforce working out of New York City, and we're a few hours outside of the city. And her husband, I think, also actually travels internationally for work. So she just was like, I just signed them up. Like, my travel season's really like starting to pick up, so I'll probably need some help getting them to and from the practices. But like when I'm back in town, I'm totally willing to help out as well. I was just like, I admired her just like putting, not even like, I'm sure she doesn't know everyone else in this text thread, but she just was like, I'm going to need the support. I'm totally down to reciprocate when I can. And everyone like loved on, like put a little heart on it. And I'm hopeful everyone will sort of pitch in and help out.
That is fantastic. I love hearing that because I live in a small town also, but most of the moms don't work. And so I was definitely an outlier there of I didn't bring the homemade snacks for soccer halftime. I was like, no, I am going and picking up some package and we'll throw it in a bag. And that's what they want anyway. They don't need an organic muffin. They're fine. But goodness. So yeah, I love that she was able to say, this is what I need, and I will reciprocate when I can.
Yep. And I'm the same way also. I'm like, sorry, like I'm not going to home bake this thing. Or there was like, we're all going to like bake something for the PTO. And I was like, I'll donate some money, but like, I'm not.
Okay,
Yeah.
so like,
do not make me bake a thing.
real talk about the baking and the bringing of food to places with so many food allergies. Like, how does that even happen anymore? I don't understand the mechanics.
Because you have to go to Whole Foods and you have to get the organic and it has to be peanut free. And I mean, I understand, but it's like, okay, yeah, like you said, no, I will donate money. And then y'all can get whatever it is that you deem okay, right? Because it's just too much. I don't have time.
I think you've just taken an enormous load off.
Right. So that's the self-care though, right? That's like, what do I actually have time to do? What actually, like some people, maybe for them it is, rejuvenating to spend time baking. It is not my
Oh,
joy.
absolutely. There's one mom in town who loves to make a charcuterie board and she brings it to the soccer tournaments, and I love her because I know I'm going to go to that tournament 6 hours away and she is going to cart that all down there and make a beautiful board for us parents. It's like, thank you. Thank you for that. That's her love language. And I appreciate that. I'll bring the wine.
Yes.
The other thing, though, that I have found where I can contribute, especially personally, family, school, is that because I am so passionate that I go to school board meetings and I speak at public comment and I encourage other parents to speak up. And so that, I do book banning events. During Ban Book Week, I bring families to my house and we talk about why the heck Judy Blume would be banned, things like that.
I love that.
Well, and it's fun because that's my passion. I know how to market in an event. And so it's using what you already are doing, but in your personal life.
Okay, you just like blew my mind there.
Someone's like, I have so many ideas for what I can do.
Yeah. Well, Band Book Week is coming up. So yeah, I mean, there's always something. There's always a way to contribute it that, serves you and your family's needs.
I actually have two penultimate questions, and one is purely selfish. But the real official question is about identity, because one of the things that I've been wrestling with is the paradigm that your identity completely changes, which I think is a terrifying concept. I had a breakthrough yesterday, actually, with a theta healer. It was a really powerful session, and she gifted it to me because we've known each other and been friends for a while. And she helped me sort of unpick my ideas and stories around what a mother is and what a father is. And she's like, no, 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 no. You don't have to be the mother archetype. You don't have to be the mother. You are this child's mother. You get to define that between the two of you. And that just blew my mind in the best way. But the question is, how did you see your identity shift between pre-motherhood and in the motherhood journey? And how did you see it stay the same?
It stayed the same because I was checking those boxes for quite a while. My kids needed to, and there were 3 boys. They were messy. They needed to, match and all the things. When we would go out, we would do all these adventures because I could put it on Facebook at that time. So I was still checking all those boxes, but inside I was dying. Once I realized that that couldn't happen anymore, then I came back to myself. Actually, I did EMDR therapy and saw myself as my 16-year-old self applying to college alone. Parents didn't hire coaches back then, and wanting to travel and go to college and do all the things. And that's really where that helped me kind of find myself again and find my passion. And then it was also, I talked to a lady, she talks to your spirit guides. I don't know what you would call her, but she said that karmically, my 3 boys came to me to help them through this life. And it really helped me they chose me. Wow, what an honor. And I've carried that with me because at times, 3 boys, especially as teenage boys, they, again, are very stinky, dirty, bringing a lot of girls over and just different things where it's like, oh, I don't like this at all. But it's an honor to be their mother and to walk this journey with them. So I carry that with me. And that has helped me not create a new identity, but find myself again. Remember who I am, because I am that double Scorpio, very high energy. I will love you so fiercely, and I will also not like you the same, right? 2 sides of the coin. Yeah, that's how I move through life and motherhood.
Oh, that's what I think better than anybody. You've bridged that gap of your life, your business, motherhood. They are all connected. All of the tools that you learn for one can be applied to the next in really beautiful and unexpected ways.
Yes. And now seeing 2 of my boys in college, and they are good humans out in the world, good white males, like just nice. I can't believe that I did it. I'm still in awe that I created these humans that are volunteering and doing things out in the world that they don't have to do. Sure, one's in a frat, but that's a whole nother podcast. And of that, it's a lot when I get pictures. I'm like, oh, okay. And so, but I know that they're going to be okay, and they are going to create impact in the world. And that is everything to me.
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad you said that. For reasons of we don't like doing hair and makeup, this is not on video, but I was like raising the roof, like, yes, because I am also going to be the mother of a white boy in this society, in this moment in time. And I am determined not to raise an a-hole. So.
And you won't. But there's also the flip side of that I have seen when they applied to colleges, and I have seen where the white male, I mean, that's a whole nother topic, but where they have been rightfully so pushed down, right? Because I'm big on equity in education. And so then I had to confront that for myself with my white boys, that they weren't going to get into the college that they wanted necessarily. But you know what? They're going to be fine. And that's why we have what we have. And so anyhow, not to get political, but
I mean, yes, exactly. I'm like, how early can I get a baby book about privilege?
Well, you can write it.
Oh, they exist. They're like little, the cardboard ones, and it's
there you go. Gnawing on the cardboard book. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Okay, so the purely selfish question, because Kara and I both love wine.
Oh, okay. I was like, where's this going?
Yeah, no. Paso Robles for anybody who is listening, across the country, maybe in a different country, but Paso Robles is one of the best wine regions in California. And it's one of my personal favorites. My husband and I are like, oh, we should go back there. We miss it. And it might be one of baby's first trips. I'm not going to lie.
I was going to say, you have a babysitter. Hello.
So, do you have any recommendations for some favorite Paso wines?
Oh my goodness. This I was not prepared for.
It's like trying to say like my favorite book is.
Yes, that is exactly it. And to be honest, I don't go wine tasting much because I live here and it's just not something I do. I'm going to disappoint you. I'm so sorry. I love going to Tin City. I don't know if you're familiar with that little.
Yes.
Okay, so they have beer, they have wine. I love supporting little wineries. I know what it was like when I was a small winery and these doctors, heart surgeons, bank owners would come and buy land and they had millions of dollars. It takes millions of dollars to make a winery profitable, as I learned. And so I've always been for the small guys. And so if you go to Tin City in Paso Robles, there are so many little small producers. And I love walking around Tin City. There's also beer, food, Eto's there, which is wonderful. And that's my suggestion. I would go there and just park your car, take an Uber, please, and just cruise around and wine taste all the little guys because you'll find Italian producers, you'll find Rhone, of course. You can find whatever you're looking for, right? White, red. Just don't ask for sweet wine. That was always my in the tasting room. Do you have any sweet wine? No. No, I don't.
Desperada. Desperada is my favorite Tin City winemaker. She's this incredible, like, just this gorgeous woman, this mother, woman-owned business, and some of their wines just blow my mind in the best way.
And also, I would say my favorite is probably Topless Creek. And I know they are larger, but I know the family. They've been doing this for a couple generations now. They're biodynamic. They have the sheep in the vineyards. I mean, they really walk the talk when it comes to sustainability. And they're just really down to earth people. And I appreciate that.
A non-baby related
Yeah, I couldn't resist.
question. Yeah. Yummy wines.
When you have a subject matter expert,
Yeah.
sitting right there.
Wine, food, I could talk about it all day because it's fun and we need that as moms.
Absolutely. I think bonding over food and shared passions, which, for Kara and I, one of our shared passions is wine.
And whiskey.
And whiskey.
Oh, there you go. There you go. And when your kids get older, I have a lot of kids, my boys' friends that'll come over for dinner, right? Recently, one had jambalaya for the first time. They're like, what is this? And so that's fun. It is fun to gather around the community table and watch other kids experience new flavors, tastes.
Oh, that is so fun. Okay, I'm putting that on the list of things I'm really looking forward to. Because you're not just your kid's mom. It's this community thing. As soon as your kid starts bringing home friends from school, you've got so much more ripple effect. Because I know for me, growing up, my mom was great, but other people's mothers had a huge influence on me too.
Absolutely. And I've carried that from the time they were young, but always have your pantry stocked. And it does cost a lot of money as they get older, but I want their friends to come in, and if they're hungry or if they need something, it's there for them. And they don't have to feel ashamed, and there's no judgment. Just go to the fridge, go to the pantry. Miss Lisa, you know where to go, and they can eat because that's love, right? Like the charcuterie friend.
Yes.
That's love.
Is there anything that you would like to promote, tell people about? I know you've got a podcast, you've got a lot of things going on. Where should people find you?
I am on LinkedIn for the most part, and I love LinkedIn. It's not so male-centric corporate anymore. I've found some really great soul entrepreneurs, mission-driven women. So I am on there, Lisa Avila. And then, yes, I pivoted my podcast recently, and now it is The Rich Nonprofit. And I called it that because I talk strategy, of course, but I believe you can be rich and abundant as a nonprofit founder. And not just rich money, although you need the money to make the nonprofit keep going, but rich in your life as a mother, however abundance looks to you. And I want that for all women.
Definitely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your wisdom, as I have a youngish one, so I'll be navigating as they get older and, oh my God, go to college.
And it comes quickly.
Yeah. And of course, Lauren's just at the beginning.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. This was so fun. I love talking about motherhood and being in it together. It's important to share your stories, good and bad, highs and lows.
All right. Thank you so much. This has been an amazing pleasure.
Thank you.